Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Flux Motorsport TV. You're here this evening with your host Lecky underscore 2000, and we are here for the GT1 Championship. Oh, we're here at Laguna Seca this evening. It's 32 degrees with a track temperature of 54 degrees, and there is a very light breeze. Weather's going to remain mild and quite temperate all day, so we look like we're going to have a dry race here. So we come off the back of our previous race at Road America, which was round 3 of our GT1 Championship. Road America saw some decent results. Yet again, another win for Bruce Law. So 3 out of 3 for Bruce Law so far as we come into round 4. Bruce again, clean sweep across the board. Pole position, fastest lap, currently topping our standings with 111 points. Let's take a little look. There he is in his silver panels. So as Bruce Law, or Jack he's known to his mates, putting in great performances here, looking for another win again. Know that panels can be quite quick around here. Lots of torque, easy to get up the hills, so he'll be looking to put another good performance here today. If you're just joining us, oh, there's Bruce goes around there. If you're just joining us and you're new to Flux Motorsport, you can check us out at fluxmotorsport.com, or you can search for our driver sign up button. Driver sign up button will take you through to our Discord server, where you can get involved in our live championship action, where all our races are broadcast. If they're not broadcast live, they will be brought to you as this is post action, but we do try and commentate all the action and bring it to you live, or as close to live as we can. Currently we are onboarding for staff, so if you are not a driver and you are looking to input to Flux Motorsport, if you're a whiz in the graphics department or you've got sick video skills, then don't be afraid to give us a shout. And you can sign up and be a volunteer. Like I said, just head over to fluxmotorsport.com and you can find more about it. So, like I said, as we come into round 4, just take a look at the standings table for our GT1 Championship. Like we said, Bruce Law topping the round 3 standings table with 111 points. But who have we got in second place? Currently in second place we have Murphy. Murphy's sporting the black McLaren. Murphy's got 73 points. So best position, best finish it was for Murphy last week at Road America. So second place finish, and that moves him up to second from third in the standings there. So coming down to third, we've got Speedy Gonhog. Speedy Gonhog has got 70 points. In fourth we have Kovkal. Fifth we got Alright Turkish. Sixth we have Uniclark. Seventh we have Luke 42. Eighth we have Jack de Mendes. Ninth we have CMC. In 10th we have Old Smoky. In 11th we've got Mark. In 12th we've got Alan MCC. And I think that's our table. Rounding off, we've had a retirement in Moritz Butzer, so that's a shame. That driver can't be with us anymore. Sad to see you go, Moritz. But still a great pack out here today, so hopefully we can still keep the action tight and close for you. So just going through our qualifying session, the guys starting to put in lap times now. 1:17 looks like to be our fastest lap time so far from Bruce Law, so currently almost a full second ahead of Uniclark. See if we can go on board with Uniclark now, as he just comes up the Rahal straight over into the corkscrew section. Taking a little bit of the kitty litter there as he does so, but not too much out of shape. So this does look like a hot lap. I've got his lights on, so it may not be. We'll keep an eye on Uniclark here as he comes around to see if he makes an improvement on that 118. Toyota of Uniclark's is notoriously good in a straight line, but can be difficult to control, so He doesn't really make an improvement there, still on the low 118s. And the next guy who's in the brother Toyota is Jack de Menezes. So Jack de Menezes is currently in second place. We currently took second place in round 1 of GT1s, but since that point he's not been able to be with us for the last 2 rounds of racing. So he has suffered a little bit in the terms of the standings after that first podium sitting that he got in round 1. It does leave Jack currently in 8th place with 25 points in our standings. So Jack's a sports journalist and an F1 reporter for the independent paper, so eats, sleeps and breathes motorsport by the sounds of it, and has been racing on project cars since the original, but only seriously putting time into racing in 2020, so 6 or 7 months or so now. He's been hitting it hard and doing pretty well so here. Currently got 3rd on the grid, so won't be putting a hot lap now at this stage, so won't be looking to improve this time. As he gets a little bit sideways there as he comes that long hand into this kink section here. Always difficult to try and keep the car out the kitty litter though, with his right tyres just skid off as he comes up into the corkscrew. Always been a bit of a difficult car to stop on the brakes. It doesn't have a front wing, this Toyota, so there is no aerodynamic changes that can be made in the pit lane or otherwise from this Toyota, so that does make setting the car up quite difficult. But Jack and Uniclark look like they've got it together here, with the Toyotas sitting 2 and 3. And we've got CMC just coming out the corkscrew section there. A little bit of a lift off there as he came through that quick left-hander, as he comes down into T11 now. Final turn for the pit straight, as he goes a little bit wide there, so won't be looking to improve that time, that 119 so far. Capable time, the 119, a couple of seconds behind the leader, but certainly up there with the rest of our guys, and then with a good shout. So 119 and 7th place for CMC so far. As he goes round there, that's a bit of a shame, so he'll be going back to pits there and maybe trying to take a look at that setup. As alright Turkish comes through the same section, but manages to keep it together. Looks like he's taking a little bit of a knock during the session, that Mercedes. Yeah, so possibly Turkish just trying to get to grips with the car, trying to see how that might behave if it was under damage conditions under the race maybe. So not a bad tactic there to try and get that out of his system in qualifying, but I would start trying to put a lap in if I was Turkish, and trying to pull those lap times in. 6 minutes left in session in qualifying, not long to go now, and he's got Murphy not too far behind him. So Murphy going well so far this season, 2nd overall in the standings, 32-year-old electrical engineer from Liverpool, so he's been driving for a number of years, know Murphy quite well personally. He's been on project cars and project cars too for a couple of years now all told, and Murphy's actually the moderator at Flux Motorsport, so he's one of the staff in. So wishing him all the best here, hoping he can get a good performance today. 1:19.26 so far for Murphy, so not the quickest lap times, but no, he has been struggling to try and get time in the garage this week to get the setup locked down on that McLaren. So we'll see how he does now as he comes over the line. 1:19.2 is the time. Doesn't look like he's beat that so far, so he'll go around again. Yeah, and we see Mark just there, coming out of the pit lane. A bit of a difficult place on track for him to park there, as we saw CMC going round him, and I think it was Bruce. So Bruce there with his lights on, he'll be looking in to put a hot lap. And Bruce just getting a little bit screwed, so pushing a little bit too hard there, I think. So all the guys now really trying to push, trying to get those lap times down, and Bruce straight in and straight back out the pits again. So wasted no time. And Jack will come round T11 once more. see who puts it in. I think it's a cold lap message. Jack's just come out of the pits. Yep, so no improvements there. We're on board with Carl here. Not seen much Carl so far in this qualifying session. I spent a lot of time in the pits so far. Carl is an avid rugby fan, we hear, and competes in athletic championship, so he's a sporty guy all round. And when he's not racing, he's out dairy farming. So, all busy, I believe, for Carl. Carl currently 4th in our championship, 55 points. So, he's already looking a far cry from Bruce Law with 111 points. That potentially is the gap that couldn't be closed from 4th place here, with the remaining racing this season. It is doable, but it would have to be back-to-back wins, and Bruce would have to drop some serious points. But certainly still with a shout for 2nd or 3rd place. That's definitely on the cards. I just see him coming around the last turn there. So, it's the only championship that he's running in currently this season, Carl, the GT1 championship with FluxMotorsport. So, this will matter more to him without any other races on his roster for this season. 4th in the standings, currently 4th in our qualifying. So, we'll start 4th in the grid, 2nd row. And it looks like Jack's just managed to put a 1:17.8 in. And Pip Uniclark for 2nd place. So 1, 2, 3 looks like Bruce, Jack, and then Uniclark at this stage. And Murphy slotting into 5th place. So still no improvement. 1:19.2 for Murphy there. And you just look at our guys. Got a couple of panels is in the pit lane there, one of those being Speedy Gone Hog. So 1:19.383 for Speedy so far. Just tinkering with this setup. Only a couple of minutes left in the session now, so he's probably going to be getting himself ready for the race, making sure that he can set up for the longer part of this race. 45 minutes in session we have. As Carl comes down into this double left-handed section, which is essentially turn 1 and turn 2, or the Andretti hairpin as it's called, and then a fairly fast section of the track with this quick right-hander and left-hander. As Carl comes now, putting the boot down, taking a good line here. Will he manage to keep it in check? Tendency to push yourself wide there on that corner. Didn't seem to be the case so far for Carl, so looks like he's going for a flyer so far this lap. 1:18.6 is his time to beat at this stage. Well balanced under the corkscrews. The front right tyre starting to lift a little bit there, so maybe the suspension running quite tight on Carl's setup today. As he comes around T10, getting a little bit wide as it flicks the car though, almost trying to get the back end out there. Manages to regain his composure. This does look like a pretty quick lap, but will he improve on his time? No, so that's just a half a second over for Carl, so no improvement there from him. 36 seconds in session as we take a look at Murphy now. Murphy currently sat in 6th place, so looks like CMC's managed to get the jump in him there just in the latter part of this session. CMC put in a 1:18.9 and is currently pitted, so that looks like that'll be him for today. But Murphy could well get round T11 down the pit straight here. I don't think he's going to get another lap after this, so this is his final lap as he goes a little sideways there, so that is going to rob some time off him there. And still trying to hop down that 1:19.2. And no improvement there for Murphy. And as Murphy still comes in, as you see Mark come in there as well. Jack is still out on track, so Jack currently looking to improve. 1:17.8, so just under 0.7 second away from our leader. and he goes a little bit sideways there, so I don't think he's going to do that in this session. He's not. But we do see Kovkala coming around the last corner there, so 1:18.6 is the time that Kovkala will be looking to beat. And not so far. Only minutes left in this session. Our car still out on track. We have got Bruce Law. I think Bruce Law is coming in to put his final lap in now. Yep, this will be our last person over the line, I think, now. .1:17.1 is the time to beat. Here he comes round in that gorgeous shiny panos. It rumbles across the line there. So no improvement. 1:17.1 is our fastest lap in our qualifying session. So as we take a small break now, as the guys get themselves ready for the race, our pole position goes to Bruce Law with a 1:17.1. So pole again for Bruce for the 4th time so far this season. Second place goes to Jack. So Jack wasted no time, certainly getting straight back onto the front row there of the grid and trying to make up for lost time. Uni Clark, who's had a bit of a terrible season so far, being involved in a lot of accidents, a lot of them not his fault, I must admit, but he's looking really quick there in that Toyota, taking up 3rd spot. Kovkal in 4th place in the Mercedes. CMC comes up in 5th, so CMC looking like he's managed to put a couple of quick laps in there towards the end, taking 5th spot from Murphy, who comes in 6th. Speedy Gonog losing like he's looking like he's lost a little bit of form though, coming up in 7th place. Speedy was doing quite well up until this round, so he'll have to stick with 7th place. Alright Turkish in 8th. Mark is coming up in 9th, and Old Smoky rounding up the back without a lap time being set there from Old Smoky. Okay, as we get underway now, so just a couple of minutes as the guys put the final touches on their setups. Like I said, we're at round 4 here of our championship, our GT1 championship. As I'm just going to switch over to our other microphone. Bear with me 1 second. Hi, sorry about that. I'm back on the new and charged microphone, so I do apologise for any interruption there. But yep, still in our in the interim between our qualifying and race session here. As you see, Bruce Law topping out on pole position, Jack de Mendes in 2nd, and Uni Clark in 3rd. These guys putting in really quick lap times in qualifying, 1:17s. Bruce will be looking to get the jump on these guys and try and secure 1st place throughout this race, and let the guys try and fight it out behind him to see if they can battle for what is quickly becoming the race for 2nd place. So not too long, 50 seconds, just the guys start to get the fuel load sorted, make sure the tyre pressures are correct. Again, a 45-minute race, and this track does chew up tyres, so that front right hand tyre always taking the brunt of it. So just as we come into our final 30 seconds here, our next track next week is Zhuhai. That'll be round 5 on the 3rd of September, so make sure that you do tune in for that. And if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and hit the bell notification so you get notified about all our videos when they do come out. But our guys looking to get underway here now as they line up on the grid. So everyone just starts to orders very shortly, and the lights are on and they are away. So we are under session 4, our GT1 championship race here at Laguna Seca. As you see, Bruce Law sticking to the inside there, maintaining 1st, all got away cleanly by the looks of it. So 1, 2, 3, sticking order. Jack runs a little bit. Sorry, that was Uni Clark runs a little bit deep there, forcing Jack to onto the outside line, costing him a little bit of time there, but avoided contact as Kovkar slots in just behind him in 4th place. Murphy coming up in 5th place, and CMC behind him, so Murphy looks like he's got the jump on CMC there off the start. As they start to come up into this tight left-hander now up the hill, Bruce Law in 1st place, Uniclark second, Jack in third still, and just look like they all look like they got away quite cleanly, so no accidents here from the start of Laguna Seca. So everybody getting away though without too much contact. With Murphy taking a little look up the inside there, he's trying to go on board with these cars, and he's that Kovkal that's just jumped on track, and it looks like that's an accident with CMC and Kovkal. Ran that into the corkscrew, so that's given Old Smoky the place in 5th place, and left the battle to for 4th place up to Murphy and Jack as they come round into lap 2 now. So exciting start here, nose to tail so far at Laguna Seca, but looks like there has been a little bit of a gap opening up now between Murphy and Old Smoky, as we see Jack running a little bit deep there into turn 1 again, so possibly struggling on the brakes here a little bit. Jack twice he's locked up going into turn 1 now. Still managing to keep it with Uniclark though, so certainly within a second or so of him, as these cars start to bunch up a little bit now. Bruce managing to keep these cars at bay, 1.6 seconds in front at this stage. Murphy's just managed to drop back now, so potentially letting the guys in front start to battle it out and fight. As we take a look on board with Alright Turkish. Alright Turkish looks like he's not done too bad at the previous action, out the incident with Kovkal and CMC. Turkish moving up to 5th spot, so Turkish will be quite happy with that. Getting some good points there. Slow and steady, I think, again for Turkish. That's been a theme of his so far this season, trying to keep composure and just pick people off as they start to spin and the tyres wear out. 3 minutes gone of our session, 45 minute session here at Laguna Seca so far, as we come into lap 3. Bruce Law is our leader, Uniclark into 2nd place, Jack in 3rd, Murphy 4th, Alright Turkish in 5th, Old Smoky in 6th. I think there's just potentially come up to some action there with Old Smoky and Alright Turkish, and Speedy Gonhog now getting involved in that, so battle potential now for 5th, 6th and 7th place, as Kovkal comes in 8th. It looks like he's managed to get his car back under control, back on the track in 8th place, and potentially CMC bearing the brunt of the damage there, as he did T-bone the side. That would be a lot of front end and radiator damage on this car. So currently we're on board with Old Smoky as we see this battle for 6th place here. 5th place, I do apologise. It's a 4-way battle for 5th place with Alright Turkish, Old Smoky, Speedy Gonhog and Kovkal. And Alright Turkish gets a little bit sideways, and so does Old Smoky, so both the guys getting squirrely. Old Smoky potentially trying to avoid him, and Speedy Gonhog going to get in the battle. It's better of him. So that white panels is fighting there with Kovkal. Kovkal a little bit quicker into the corkscrew, thinking better of it to try and go around him on the corkscrew. So having to slot him behind. Backed off a little bit now, but still sticking with him. That's Speedy up into 5th spot. Didn't qualify great, Speedy Gonhog, but has been doing so well so far this season. 3rd twice in the GT1s, and I believe he does run our Formula Renault Championship as well. I've had a couple of podiums in those races as well, so proficiency certainly gone up for Speedy Gonhog over the last couple of races across the board in all championships. So 4th spot will be on his mind, thinking about that podium. He's had a taste of it so far. He's going to want a little bit more. First he's going to have to try and fend off Kovkal. So Alright Turkish managing to get the car under control, but he has dropped back to 8th place now, so Alright Turkish will be hoping there isn't any damage there. It didn't look like he was too far out of kilter, just a little bit of a skirmish with the gravel, making him drop a little bit of time, as we see Mark coming up there behind him. Back on board with our leader now as he comes across the line into lap 5. 118 is our race pace so far, 119 is that lap for Bruce Law. So taking his time, certainly not pushing at this stage compared to qualifying. As he comes into turn 1, starts to get the back end a little bit, over rotate there, and try and help and get into the front wheels down into the second part of that double right hander. But a comfortable gap of 2 seconds to Uni Clark in second place now. So as we see Old Smoky come in the pit, so is that damage from Old Smoky? I think that must be damage there from Old Smoky. And yeah, it's not for tyres, and I doubt it's pit, so Turkish coming in there, so potentially contact between those two guys. We'll have to see if we can try and come back to that one. As we go to Jack in third place now, and Murphy following up there in fourth, so a little bit of a gap between Jack and Murphy, a couple of seconds in it. Certainly nothing that can't be closed up. Jack putting slightly better qualifying times in than Murphy, so potentially running his own race there. Murphy we're looking to push, but again, 40 minutes to go, just less than 40 minutes to go in this session. A lot of this will now be about tyre management and trying to keep the car stable rather than trying to push and close gaps up. So we'll keep an eye on third and fourth spot there and see if that does close up. As we go back with Speedy in fifth spot now, and Cov Carl. Speedy looks like he's shaking Cov Carl off a little bit there, so potentially pushing has affected Cov Carl's tyres. We've seen him going deep into T11 there, and having to come hard on the brakes and take a lot of speed off there. And he's actually come into the pit, so maybe he's coming to get in to get that damage repaired. Shouldn't have suffered too much damage with the side impact with the T-bone there from Cov Carl. It will let Mark go through, and it looks like Mark's going to try and get the better of him now. That's Mark through into sixth spot. What can we tell you about Mark? Mark's currently 11th in our positions in our GT1s, as we see him going off a little bit there, so that GT1 getting the better of him there. And some racing for some years. Quit his teeth on Gran Turismo, I believe. And his favourite tracks are Fuji, Suzuka and the Algarve. Currently only rocking 17 points in the GT1 Championship, and that's level with Old Smoky, so as long as Mark beats Old Smoky, I think he'd be happy here today. That's his main competitor in our championship at this stage, and certainly looking to try and pick up some points from 6th spot. As we see a battle on board now with Old Smoky and Cov Carl, so this is a battle for 7th place just behind Mark. Old Smoky and Cov Carl looking like they've both come in with those Mercedes, got their damage repaired, and both going great guns now. Interested to see what lap times they do as they come across the timing line here, but as they come up the hill section into the corkscrew, always difficult here. The car's wanting to lock up and pull you into the right hand side, and Cov Carl already looking like he got it wrong once today there, but good lines from both of them, slightly different lines from both guys, as you see Old Smoky just locking up there, potentially under the dirty air behind Cov Carl's Mercedes. But we'll stay with this action here as these two guys battling on what is the end of lap 7 now for these guys. And less than a second in it. And both of them putting in a Old Smoky to put in a 1:21, and sorry, so a considerable difference there between Old Smoky's lap time and Cov Carl's lap time. So Cov Carl will just be making that Mercedes that bit bigger now than he would normally, trying to hold off Old Smoky. Old Smoky gets a little bit squirrely there, tries to think about taking the inside line and has to switch back, so that's going to cost him a little bit of time. So Cov Carl will look to gain on that now. I think he's just a little bit quicker in the straights, Old Smoky. He seems to be able to get the power down a little bit earlier, maybe the gearing's set differently on that CLK. So, not much I can tell you about Old Smoky. We don't have any driver bio information for Old Smoky, so not a lot I can tell you about him. Bit of an enigma, this driver. Currently 10th in our standings. So we'll keep an eye on how he does with Cov Carl here as we go on board with Uni Clark. So Uni Clark, or Lee, as he's known to his friends, been a driver with us since the Rubbins Racing days, long-standing member, was a staff member at Rubbins Racing, I believe. So very well-known driver to us, very quick driver. Again, not had a great season, Uni Clark this season. Certainly been up there. Lap times not been a million miles away. Certainly, maybe not quite what they were 6 months ago, but Certainly not shabby, but been plagued with accidents. Unfortunately, starting reasonably well. I think he was ran into a T-bone in the previous GT3 race. Terrible accident at Catalonia there, so that was difficult. But yeah, it's been a bit of a mixed bag for Uni Clark here. Qualified second in this race, and has managed to maintain that position so far. So in our standings, Uni Clark is currently 6th with 45 points. His best finish so far this season though has only been 4th, so not what we come to expect from Uni Clark, but maybe this will be the break of his duck, as it were, and back onto a little bit of form in his first podium finish here this evening. As we look on board with Speedy, so Speedy looks like he's caught up with a little bit with Murphy now, and dropped that gap to about half a second. So potentially a spin, or just getting a little bit sideways from Murphy as well as Speedy to catch up. Just see if we can get the cameras to go over to Murphy for a second, see if there's picked up any damage. If they both come down the under the Mazda bridge as they come out the corkscrew, doesn't look like there's any damage there on Murphy's car. So potentially just was a minor miscalculation or mistake, as we see a mistake from Speedy there. So getting onto the kitty there as he comes out of a turn 10, and difficult to try and regain the composure of the car there. If you tend to get on the outside of the track there, it does tend to spin you, so doing quite well there, Speedy, gone on not to spin that car then. But there we'll have picked up gravel on the tyres there, make it difficult coming into the Andretti hairpin here, as he does run a little bit deep, but not too bad. So hopefully shaking the dirt off those tyres before he came into that section there. So we'll put a slower lap in. It did cost him maybe a second, that mistake on that corner then. But certainly we'll be looking to improve on his current position. Speedy in 5th, looking to close in on Murphy, who's in 4th. And it looks like Kovkar's putting in the laps now, so Kovkar's just gone past Mark, quite a way behind them, maybe 20-30 seconds behind the leaders there, as you see Alright Turkish coming up behind Mark there. I think that's Alright Turkish looking to unlap himself, which he does as Mark goes round. So Mark having a difficult time, unfortunately, this evening in the Toyota. Stick on board with Kovkar. Kovkar footing out there, so a little bit slower in that section. Tendency to, again, always want to drag the car into the kitty litter. As we see the back end rotating on that Mercedes, so set up quite tightly at the back end, allowing for the over rotation. Quite a long wheelbase on the CLK, so you do need some a little bit of slip at the back end to get that car to turn into the corner and prevent some of the understeer. And it looks like Mark's just falling back down the order now as Old Smokey goes past him, and CMC's a little way behind as Old Smokey gets out of shape there. So still anybody's for 7th and 8th at this stage. Kovkar's put a bit of a gap in between these guys now, 14 seconds or so in between 7th and 8th place, but still a battle here down towards the back end of our grid. As that was Uni Clark going through there, as you see Mark was going round again, so unfortunately Mark really struggling there. Might be worth a pit stop and just a double check of tyres. The tendency for the pit crew and project cars to put you out on soft tyres is always a risk that you've got to run. As we go back on with Murphy and Speedy, and looks like Speedy's done the job on Murphy now, so looks like we missed that action. But Murphy's dropped down to 5th spot now, Speedy taking 4th spot from him. Like I said, Speedy doing pretty well so far in our standings, but Murphy knowing how to get this GT1 car, this McLaren, singing when he wants to. Murphy's currently 2nd in our standings, 73 points so far. So certainly no slouch in that McLaren. But Laguna Seca, difficult track. especially in the heat. 53 degrees track temperature at this stage, so depending on the tyre choice here, if he's gone for soft slicks, then it could potentially now be making a difference. So half an hour to go in our session, a third of the way through of our race today. If you're just joining us, this is our fourth round of our GT1 championship at Laguna Seca. We've got Bruce Law, who's currently leading the race, coming up on a couple of back markers. Uni Clark in second, Jack de Mendes in third, and Speedy Gonhog in fourth. And Murphy, you just saw in the black McLaren, coming up in fifth spot. Bit of a jump there between fifth and sixth spot. Potentially an accident causing a bit of a spacing out of our grid, but sixth place goes to Cov Carl, Mark in seventh, Old Smoky eighth, CMC, which was it looked like the boy who bore the worst of that accident, in ninth, and Alright Turkish, who it looks like he's come in and had a lengthy pit stop to try and incur some damage. As Bruce just goes past Alright Turkish there. 122s again though from Turkish, so it looks like that lap time starting to come down a little bit again now. So as those high tyres start to take the sheen off. So 119.4 is our best lap time here. As we take a little look at the standing board as Bruce comes across the line now. A 119.4 last lap, a 119.8. So consistent laps from Bruce, but Uniclark is putting a quicker lap time in there on that previous lap. 119.6 from Uniclark. So 7-second gap between first and second spot. But again, the Uniclark looking like he's found a little bit of form back here. As he gets a curse to the commentator, I think that as he goes round that apex of the double right-hander on turn 2, and needing to take a lot of speed off there for turn 3. We know you've got to be hard on the brakes into the turns with the Toyota. It doesn't have the mechanical grip that the other cars in the GT1 quite have got, but what it does lack in turning capability, it does make up for in heaps and heaps of power as he goes past Turkish, coming up the hill section into the corkscrew. Again, Earl playing a massive part at Laguna Seca, probably want to run all the Earl they can at these guys here, but not an easy shout to do in the Toyota with that lack of customisable front aero. So suspension and dampings trying to come into effect, and trying to set rake up on the vehicle basically to try and get it to suck to the track. But Uniclark doing well, looking like he's got a great setup for that Toyota. Jack's coming up in third, next Toyota, so Toyotas 2 and 3 today. As Jack comes into our pit, so it does look like he's picked up a bit of damage there potentially on that last lap. As that pit crew comes running out. I think that's Mark just going to unlap himself, going past there. So that will allow Speedy and Murphy to go through. Speedy and Murphy now battling for third spot, originally battling for sixth spot, and have managed to both these guys move those up to a battle for third spot. So feeding off each other's gains that they're making here. 120.7 and 120.8, so not an awful lot between the lap times between these two, but potentially not going to catch Speedy at this rate if these lap times remain as they were. And that mistake there, seeing a 121 from Uniclark. So as we see Cov Carl just coming along the scrubbing along the pit road, just allowing the leaders to come past there. Cov Carl just getting the jump on Jack, so Jack's still in the pits there. Looks like Jack's picked up quite a bit of damage there. So yeah, it looks like the front lip on that Toyota's taking a bit of a knock, so potentially the corkscrew from the section of track where we caught him at. So shame we didn't get that on replay, but does come back out in 6th place, and we'll be looking to try and make gains back up on Cov Carl. 6-second gap between him and Cov Carl, so he's not uncatchable with the lap times that we know he's capable of. It is possible to make another at another position on track, but I don't think he's going to catch 4th place. So potentially Jack will be pushing now to try and get 5th place. So a bit of a drop there in points for Jack, so Jack won't be happy about that. But we'll need to maintain his composure now. I'm hoping that the pit crew got all that damage repaired and there won't be any ongoing problems with that Toyota. Go back on with Speedy gone on. Speedy just coming through the left, quick left-hander uphill under the VP Racing bridge and into what is a difficult left-hander, a stamp on the brakes and throw the car in. You don't want to throw it in too much to get the rear end to start to break away, but you've got to throw it in so the front end doesn't pick up and lift off and go into the kitty litter just on the exit of that corner. Speedy looking like he's got the panels under control. Also 1 minute 20s. Certainly not the best lap times out there today, but consistently being 119, 120s for the first half of this race as we come into 23 minutes remaining in session. Again, another 1 minute 20 lap time set there from Speedy, so consistency being the aim of the game here, as it was in the last race, and this did see him pick up a lot of points last race. Again, 3rd. I just think he likes to be in 3rd. I think 3 is the magic number for Speedy. Murphy dropping a little bit further behind now. It's 6 or 7 seconds behind Speedy. So McLaren still looks like it's singing though, so no damage on the McLaren there. And she does sound great. She comes screaming past the camera under the Mother's Bridge into this left-hander, and what a noise that McLaren makes. So, and we've seen Uniclark come into the pit now and CMC into the pit, so maybe tyres taking effect now with these guys, and it doesn't look like there's any damage. And will it be a quick pit stop? Yep, the car's back down. And potentially just getting a little bit of gearbox or engine damage repaired though, so he is being held in the pits there, Uniclark. There wasn't a massive gap between him and Speedy, and Speedy, knowing from the last race, has a tendency to want to not pit if he can help it, and he's gone past Uniclark there. So if Speedy can maintain it and not pit here, then he could have just taken 2nd place in this race. And Murphy comes through and takes 3rd, so I suspect Murphy could do with the pit though, with the potentially what I suspect maybe soft tyres on the McLaren. But Murphy taking 3rd spot there, so these guys have moved that battle up to 2nd place now from battling for 15th. See CMC back in the pits now, and Mark back in the pits. 136 the last lap from Mark. He's still struggling with that car. I think he's got the better of him today. So 120.6 is being put in from Murphy, and Jack putting in a 120 flat almost. So the next quickest laps being set on track is by Jack Demenzies at this stage. Again, it's going to be a tall order to see him knock that gap down to the guys in front, but bearing in mind Jack has pitted, and so has the Toyota of Uniclark in front. So 20 minutes left in session now. It's going to be a tall order for Jack for him to close that gap, but potentially can, if he can keep it off the kitty litter, he can just pray for a mistake from Uniclark and potentially get that gap closed up. So a good distance away from him, Uniclark, and goes a little deep there, runs wide into turn 1, which I know a lot of the guys do here to try and get the sweep back into turn 2, just to allow him to try and get the power down a little bit earlier and get the run through into that right-handed section. As he comes up on the back of Turkish here. Alright, Turkish look like he's rocking a little bit of front end damage on that CLK, so it looks like he's going to be not putting it through its paces here, just trying to coax it a little bit through the faster or more difficult sections of this track. Demanded track, Laguna Seca, lots of switches in camber, lots of switches in elevation, so very demanding on tyres. It takes a lot in terms of suspension setup. As he moves to the inside there as best he can, and let Uniclark through. Yeah, that was Uniclark. So Uniclark going past our right Turkish, maintaining 4th. Turkish in 9th place now, but potentially he may well catch up to Mark, who's just in front. Mark, who was struggling in the other Toyota. So that could be a battle for 8th and 9th if we bring you towards the end of this race. But if we go back on board with Speedy and see what that gap's looking like between him and Murphy. So 120, 121s between Speedy and Murphy now. So it does look like that gap has closed up a little bit more, and it may allow Uniclark to catch up with him here. Is that Uniclark we see in the background there? So 119s to 121s, couple of seconds difference between Uniclark and Murphy. So and again, we know, as we just saw, Uniclark has pitted and Murphy has yet to pit. 18 minutes left in session, lap 21. It's going to be a tall order to get through the rest of this session. There's going to be a lot of laps from Laguna Seca, not a long track, and they've got a lot of power behind these high-powered GT1 cars. So rip through the lap times in almost a minute flat, just over. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see 35 to 40 laps here. It could go as long as that, depending on lap times that Bruce puts in. So Uniclark, yep, just got the little yellow marker as he starts to close that gap up now. So we'll stick with this too, with this battle for 3rd place. Murphy will not want to be letting go of 3rd place here. This potentially having a dramatic impact on his standings. Speedy's not far behind him in the points table. 3 points in it, in fact, so it's neck and neck almost. This potentially could see him level up on points here if it was to finish 1, 2, 3 with Bruce, Speedy and Murphy. So but Uniclark won't be having any of this. He knows he needs points himself. He knows he's got his reputation at stake, and the difficulties he had at the beginning of the season he wanted to put to bed. Again, a capable driver, we know he's been really quick, and a dab hand with the setup as well, particularly when you want it to go exceptionally fast at top end. So as Murphy goes round there, so Murphy feeling the pressure there from Uniclark, potentially just trying to push that McLaren a little bit, trying to get a little bit of speed out of it, potentially stop Uniclark from making his bigger gains. But 119 was always going to see and close that gap up to Murphy just a little bit, and potentially could see Uniclark closing that gap up to Speedy Gonhog. Speedy's been consistent in the 120.1s, and consistent meaning robotically consistently with the 120.1s, to where I'm thinking he's put it on autopilot and walked away. But yeah, it's going to be close, potentially doable if they maintain this pace. I doubt it. If Speedy manages to drop half a second or so, Uniclark starts to put in great lap times, you could see that close up. Just take a look on board with our leader Bruce. Lap 23 at this stage, 15 minutes to go in session. 118s, 119s, consistent lap times here from Bruce. Again, another great performance, solid performance from what is shaping up to be all in all pretty much a clean sweep. 100% record from all races entered, all races won. I think he's dropped one race so far from a disconnection, unfortunately, so far this season, but other than that, taking on the clean sweep. So another solid performance here from Bruce. Been a bit of a lonely drive for Bruce this championship, but that's how Bruce likes it. Can work on getting into the rhythm, getting into the zone, and making sure he keeps those lap times down as low as he can, as he puts in a 1:19.3 there. So massively down his previous lap time. Potentially a road mistake from Bruce there on the previous lap. But it looks like our fastest lap of the session potentially has just been put in from Uniclark. Just go over to our timing board here. 1:18.535. That is our fastest lap. So Uniclark here putting an absolute flyer in the previous lap. As he comes through the Mazda Laguna Seca bridge now, just out the corkscrew into turn 10. Will he improve on this lap? I don't think he'll improve on a 1:18.5, but this has been an absolute flying set of laps from Uniclark, and that gap to speed he'd gone on could potentially close up. So, like I said, a couple of seconds difference. That's all it's going to take, and in 4 or 5 laps he's going to be closing that gap right on the back of him. So we'll try and keep you posted with where these guys go. So Jack hanging back in 5th now, the other red and white Toyota, just pushing it a little bit hard there, getting the front right tyre onto the kit, not too much of a slowdown for that though. As we see the car getting a little bit squirrely under braking there as he tries to make sure he slows down enough for Old Smokey. And Old Smokey getting a little bit out of shape there, managing to get the car under control, so didn't suffer a full spin, but just getting out of the way I think potentially there. As you can see the lap times there from Jack with those 120s coming through. So Jack up to 5th spot, pulling places back. Potentially he's going to be thinking he can catch Murphy now, so with a 120 lap time it's certainly doable. Murphy's tyres have started to degrade now and he's started to struggle, so if he keeps composed here, a steady race actually might see him gain 4th spot. So not too long left in our session now. Like I said, our next session is at Zhuhai for our GT1s, but our next broadcast championship race will be brought to you on Sunday, which is our Formula Renault race. Formula Renaults, I believe, are at Catalonia, so that comes to you at 10:30 AM UK time. That's GMT +1 if you're not based in the UK, and I believe there are 1 or 2 spots open in that championship. So if you are looking for an open wheel drive, and it is the higher or open wheel action that's for you, then certainly do give us a look. FluxMotorsport.com is the web address. That's FluxMotorsport.com. All the information that you need is there, and if you're desperate just to get involved as a driver straight away, the big purple driver sign up button is the one that you need. So just coming back to our action, it looks like Old Smokey's taking a pit now, so again potentially tyres there, see them locking up going into T11 there, just coming onto the pit straight. Was that CMC that comes into the pits again? So yet another pit from CMC. These guys having a difficult race here in the Mercedes, so looks like Mercedes starts to perform well. 119s I think we saw from CMC in the qualifying session, but race pace wise, I think they're going through tyres a little bit quicker than the other guys, certainly quicker than the panels is. Yeah, the panels, we've got 1 and 2 in Speedy and Bruce, and up until that mistake from Jack, Toyota's 3rd and 4th, but I think we're seeing that split by the McLaren of Murphy. So Murphy just dropping lap times now, 123s, having to take the foot out a little bit here now, and before he knows it, Jack's will be on the back of him. So we'll see if we can stay on board with Murphy and Jack here, as Jack starts to close in onto the back of Murphy. 4 seconds gap in it now, so that gap's come down from over 14 seconds, so he's taken 10 seconds in the last couple of laps. So 119's been put in from Jack here, so we'll try and stick with this action. As you've got some more action, sorry, with another Toyota on track, as Mark coming up in 7th place in the back of Old Smokey. So these guys not done at the back of this field yet, and coming into the last 10 minutes we've got action all over the track. So Toyota's in the thick of it all the way through. We're on board with 6th and 7th with Mark and Old Smoke here, but I believe there's action on track between Clark and Speedy are about to be, as they both come through into the Mother's Bridge section, into this left-hand section. Uphill, can make a lot of time on that corner if you manage to hug the apex at the correct point and manage to get the back end to kick out, giving you a bit of a catapult effect up that hill. Clark getting a bit squirrely now. Still managing a 119s, which is just over half a second quicker than Speedy, but Speedy will not waver with that low 120 lap time. 8 minutes left in session here. Bruce Law's our leader, Speedy in second, Clark in third, Murphy fourth, and Jack fifth. We've got Mark in sixth, Old Smoky seventh, Alright Turkish eighth, and CMC in ninth. And we have action all over the shop. So Clark still trying to chase Speedy down, and Mark's got past Old Smoky, so I think Mark's managed to do that now past Old Smoky, as we see Bruce coming past Old Smoky as well. So Old Smoky under blue flag conditions there. So back on board with Clark here. Clark goes a little bit wide, looks like that Toyota twitch then, so potentially the tyre's starting to fade again now, so just running out a little bit in the latter part of this race now. Not too long to go in this session, so tyre maintenance and management will be a concern for these guys. Starting to rob time from the guys now. As we go on board with fourth place, which is Murphy in the black McLaren. It was being caught by Jack at a rate of knots previously. That seems to have been that gap. It's still being closed down, but not quite the rate it was. Murphy managing to get the back end of that beautiful Soaring McLaren in check there. Lap times back down to a respectable 121. So Jack is still going to look to push past Murphy through this race, so I would expect to see Jack come up and take fourth there. Old Smoky on the back of Mark again, so these guys still not done with it yet. So 4th and 5th, 6th and 7th, two independent battles going on here. As we with Old Smoky and Mark now. Both these guys have been having difficulties with the cars, and it looks like Jack's just managed to take Murphy as well. Yep, so Jack's just got past Murphy, and I think Murphy might have gone round there on T11, or just potentially let Jack through. So, and Old Smoky's all over the back of Mark here, trying to look for any way past, and I think he's managed to get it done this side on the inside. Yes, he does. He takes the inside line there. Runs a bit wide though. Oh, that's a schoolboy error. And he's picked up some damage there. That manoeuvre was almost done. That was, in racing terms, a schoolboy error, and that is really going to see him struggle now. It's a big front end impact on that car. But yeah, the manoeuvre was done there. All he had to do was stick it on the inside line, and that was his position. But yeah, difficult job there from Old Smoky. But Clark now catching up to the back of Speedy again, so recovering from that mistake. Speedy starting to feel the pressure, so but potentially he's done the right thing as the guys start to put 119s now, so the guys lap times coming down towards the back end of this session, which I wasn't expecting. We haven't seen too many of these guys pit for tyres recently, so they're not going to be on fresh rubbers. They're still going to be trying to maintain the car and trying to not lock up wherever they can. Difficult to judge on the brakes, the GT1s, very prone to a lock up, particularly into the corkscrew section, where I would have thought we'd seen more action here today. Not too much action that we caught on camera on the stream here in the corkscrew today. It seems to be all at T11 and T10 where all the action's happening. So, but Clark here is still putting half a second or so lap time quicker than Speedy. and we'll really start to be feeling the pressure now as he gets onto the straight section and the that tails to start showing how much power it's actually got on the straights. We'll have to go a little bit earlier on the brakes as the guys both come past Turkish there. The black and orange livery of the alright Turkish. So won't have taken any speed off those guys there. Those guys just manoeuvring around that. And this is where Uniclark are looking to be trying to get a great drive up the hill. Going to struggle against the panels up the hill unless he's already got momentum, because there's a lot of torque in the panels, and that thing grows and grumbles all the way up the hill. But as soon as she gets onto a straight where she can open up the legs on that Toyota, then there's some long legs that she has got. So 3 minutes left in session, not too long, lap 32 we're on now. Bruce our leader, Speedy in second, and Uniclark in third, which is our battle here on screen. Jack managing to push his way just past Murphy to get his way into fourth spot, so dropping back from second place and managing to go all the way back up into to fourth, down from a sixth or seventh place I think it was. So Jack doing well there. Murphy in fifth. Had a bit of a yo-yo race. Murphy's been up and down all the way up to second place and back down to fifth again, so quite the opposite race for Jack, but the other way. Roughly landing in a similar spot. Mark comes up in 6th place, Old Smokey in 7th, Alright Turkish comes up in 8th, and CMC in 9th spot. CMC suffering a bit of damage there from a earlier incident with Kovkar, who looks like he's unfortunately been disconnected from this session. So a couple of minutes left to go, and Uniclark looks like he's got past Speedy here, so I think he's running inevitable at this stage with the lap times just coming down a couple of seconds a lap every lap. It was always going to happen, but still a great job from Speedy. That consistency of a 120, low 120 permanently, that's not something to be sniffed at. Alan Prost made his career out of being a consistent driver, so certainly looks like he's found his groove. So Murphy comes up into 5th spot. Murphy again putting a 128 lap in there, so struggled last lap, brought those down to a 121 even, sorry, so over the last couple of laps, but struggling again. So it looks like the McLaren really does start to have difficulties once you start to push the tyres. Really good in the corners, not low on power, but I think he's asking a lot from slick tyres in this heat. So Murphy looks like he'll see up 5th spot, which does allow Speedy to get a couple of places in on him, and some vital points in the standing. So we'll see Speedy leapfrog Murphy in the points and see him jump potentially up into 2nd spot. I think Uniclark's got a few too many points to try and gain in order to get Uniclark's on 47 points. So sorry, apologies. Uniclark is on. Yeah, so it's difficult to see how Uniclark's going to try and close that gap at this stage, even finishing 2nd, but it will make 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the standings very close. Not long left in our session here now. As we go on board with our leader, with Bruce Law, he'll be coming up to the last couple of turns. Again, outstanding performance here from Bruce. Consistently 119s and even putting the 118 in the last lap. So another great win from Bruce as we get a flash of lights there as he comes over the line. So that's another 100% record from Bruce. Every race he's entered, every race he's won. Pole position, he may not have got fastest lap though. Yeah, I think fastest lap may go to our 2nd place sitter, Uniclark. So Uniclark will be no doubt happy to stick that to Bruce once the drivers get into the paddock. Any gains that he can But Uniclark coming up to second place there. Looks like he's being closed down by Speedy, so potentially made a mistake at this lap, and Speedy just closing him up there. So bit of action on the last lap here of this session at Laguna Seca, and unless there's a mistake from Uniclark here as you go around T11 for the last time, yeah, which he keeps it together, so that's going to see Uniclark come over in second place. Well done, Uniclark. And Speedy Gone Hog come up in a very comfortable third place. So that goes 1, 2, 3. Jack will come up in fourth spot. Murphy in fifth. Mark will finish in sixth spot. Do apologise. Seventh will come up Alright Turkish, Old Smoky in eighth place, and CMC in ninth place. And like I said, it does look like we've lost Kovkal. So what that'll do to our standings, I will have to get back to you as we get these things calculated. But an absolutely great race from Laguna Seca today. That heat looking like it's proved very difficult for some of our drivers. So a race of two groups, I think, here, of the first half and second half of our GT1 championship. But certainly making the standings tables close in both halves. So make sure you do join me here next time for our GT1 championship next week, where like I said, we're at Zhuhai, so open Chinese track. It's going to make things very interesting. Or if you can make it, please join us here on a Sunday morning for the Formula Renaults. We will be at Catalonia, and that's at 10:30. If you do want to know more about us, like I said, do hit us on the website. Do check us out on YouTube, or go and like us on Twitter. But I've been your host this evening. I've been Lucky2000. It's been wonderful having you. Thank you very much for joining me. And up until next week, I'll see you next time. Bye now.